Welcome back, everyone. The purpose of this video is to go through how to optimize IBKR, aka interactive brokers, for trading stocks, options, and anything else. I'm going to take you through some of the minutiae and some of the really cool features that this platform has that will allow you to move more quickly and efficiently. Now, if you haven't already seen it and you are an options trader, please take a look. I'm going to link to it. I took you through in another video how to set up step by step your trading center for trading stock options, and it's an optimal configuration. In my opinion, it's really easy to get set up with, and I walk you through it, so take a look at that video. But we're going to move into it now and look at what we can do within IBKR that's really different. And I think that even if you don't currently use interactive brokers, this might be the video that really shows you how deep this platform is. It is an extremely robust, highly configurable platform, and I think you're going to enjoy some of these small quality of life changes, and that could have a big impact on your trading and your overall experience. So let's get right to it. So I've reset everything here, and we're just looking at a basic desktop. I do have a couple tabs on the bottom. You can see the way that it works is you have different setups and different tabs, and you go to the bottom, you can switch between it. So you can go kind of back to the mosaic and have one look, and you can have a completely different setup here. I'm just going to use this setup because there are going to be a few things that we'll touch on. But right away, I want to move up and go to Edit and then Global Configuration. And this is where I'm just going to show you a few things. So the first place we're going to go that can help you speed up your system, help you speed everything up, is to memory allocation. I think that 768 megabytes is a little low, and I like to move that to at least 1.5 gigabytes. In my experience, it doesn't really use more than that, but allocating that additional RAM will really help you optimize your experience. Of course, make sure that your system is compatible and has the appropriate amount of RAM. I think that if you're trading, to me, the absolute minimum is 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I really do prefer 16. On my systems, it's typically 32 or 64. But in this area, I allocate higher memory. For those of you who are kind of moving slower because of your system, that's going to make a difference. And then you go ahead and you can click apply. We're going to move down and take a look at a different area here. We're going to go to display. And so with IBKR, you can see before we dig into display, there are a lot of features. These are all configurable, right? And when you kind of open up the menu, you see there's more and more options. You can set up hotkeys. You can set up your own buttons. You can set up buttons that will appear on your page that enter an order exactly as you have predefined it. So you could say X quantity at X price with X stop loss and have that all predefined, and just click a button and then it will execute. So that is very helpful. And what I'm doing there is I'm inviting all of you to explore and dig in deeper. But we're just looking at some overarching items that will really make a difference for people. So here we are on display, and I'm not going to really worry about settings because there's quite a bit inside the settings, and you can, like I said, this is one of the most customizable broker systems that I've seen to date. It's very impressive in that regard. But I'm going to go to style, and why does that make a difference? This is where you can adjust the size, particularly font. And of course, if you want to change the color scheme, that's fine as well. That's something that you could do. Like I said, you can customize almost anything. But font, here's where you have an opportunity to change the font size, both in the mosaic, and you can see that's the mosaic down here that I showed you earlier, and just regular. You can also choose your font style. Now, the reason that I think this is important and where it comes into play is depending on your setup, right? Not everybody has the same setup. And of course, there's a very simple response here. One, you want to set the font size to where you can see it and where you're comfortable and you can read it easily. But an area where this really helps is, in my opinion, you can set it up so that it aligns with your desktop setup, right? So some people are working on a full desktop with multiple monitors. That's the case for me. I have multiple screens, multiple monitors up, and I actually like to set the font size just a little bit bigger because I have so much real estate, right? By real estate, I mean screen space. My main screen is very big. Then I have multiple others. And I like to back away and stand at a distance sometimes with my alerts on and just be able to view at a distance and sort of take it all in. Also keeps me from just sitting and being really close all day and staring into the screen. But when I'm on a laptop, and it kind of sounds counterintuitive, and this is just a tip for everybody else, when I'm on my laptop and I'm traveling, I usually do have a travel screen that I work with, but sometimes I can't set it up. When I'm in an airport or in an area or sitting in a plane, I can't really set up my travel screen, and sometimes I'm doing analysis and I'm in the brokerage. So what I want to do is I actually make this a lot smaller. So why would I make the font size smaller if my screen is smaller? It sounds counterintuitive, but just a tip for everybody, it's a real estate item, right? I have less space to see. So if I have big font, I can only see a few tickers and a few charts, etc. If I bring the font size down, I can see more on my watch lists. And given that I'm only looking at one screen when I'm on my laptop, and I'm obviously really close, I don't know too many people who use their laptop from 10 feet away. You have to be touching your laptop, right? And I'm not talking about if you have a keyboard set up. I'm really close, so I can see that smaller font. So I bring it down, and this is really useful. And then there's going to be one more area that I want to touch on here to discuss with you, and we're going to move over to go in depth. That'll be on orders, but I just want to show you there are a lot of other items. You can look at your trading tools, and like I said, once you expand these, you see how many options there really is. You can, of course, I'm going to just shrink that down. You can go to information tools. Charts, a lot of people like to have custom charting, right? You could change what the price axis is. You can change the vertical scroll bar. You can have rollover points, a buttons panel. Like I said, if you have a custom button setup, you can create a panel right under where you're trading, and you can use that there. There is a lot. You can even have the market clock on or off. You can see how the market clock is up in the top right. And there's just a plethora of different options. So we're not going to exhaust all of those. That exceeds the scope of this specific video. And we will come back and look at other items, but you can change a lot to make this your own. So what I suggest is if you're using IBKR, and I think it's a great solution for execution, take the time, optimize it. The more you optimize your setup, the more time you save when you're trading, the more comfortable you are when you're trading. And every little bit when you trade helps. So you get the toolbar, the charts. You could change the chart colors and look at the options you have. So I know a lot of people talk about the IBKR charting, and some people are big fans and some people don't like the charting as much. Well, did you know that you can change this much? But what we're going to do here is move down, and you can see, of course, like I said, there's a chart trader. You could trade right on the chart. We're going to go to orders, because that's something that I talk about a lot. When I'm talking about IBKR, I use IBKR Pro. You can see it up here. I don't use IBKR Lite, so I can't speak to that. But the big difference, and the reason that I'm a fan of IBKR and I don't use, for example, Thinkorswim, is execution, right? It's one thing to be said about charts and aesthetics and all that sort of thing, and that's highly based on preference, right? But routing my order, executing, like when I hit buy, I hate to see it lag and move all over the place and not fill me. When I enter an order, I want to get filled as fast as possible at the order I enter a bid on. When I go to sell, I want to get out. I want to get as much filled at the order price I set myself to. And IBKR is just different. If you look at, for example, Thinkorswim, the order routing is different. It's on the free system. It doesn't move as quickly. You get a little bit of lag, and then the system lags as well. I can't afford that. You know, we could talk about aesthetics and the little things and the conveniences. I prioritize my execution above everything, right? That's the most important thing, is the execution. I want to get the price that I want. I don't care if something's glowing and purple and, you know, in a special bubbly font. I want to get my price, right? So here's where you can make some adjustments, and you can look at settings. We'll go here first. One that I want to draw your attention to, and again, there's a lot here to look at, but it's going to be option exercise requests are. So if you're exercising, this will give you some options. Final and cannot be canceled, editable until cutoff time, and of course it depends on clearinghouse. So if you are exercising options, that's something you want to draw your attention to. You can also blink always a new completed order. And another one that I want to touch on is auto saving default size. So I know with a lot of other brokers, you kind of go back and you enter an order, and I've heard of people having issues where they say, my last order, I had a size of 10, and then I went back and they defaulted me back to 1, or they sent me to 100 and I didn't have enough money in my account. It's really annoying. A lot of brokers do that. You can auto save your default size. So it'll just save what you entered last time. That's really helpful. And then you see all these different adjustments, but you can go to smart routing as well, and you can make some changes there. Now, if this is an area that you don't understand, I highly recommend digging in. I set it on the defaults here. I think that's going to be helpful for most people. But if you want to go to that depth, you know, there you can be placing orders, prioritizing for rebates, and you can learn what that is. Some people absolutely love doing that. There are a lot of different options here. You can set it up. You can ensure that you don't route to dark pools. You don't get these options on other brokers. This is a big deal. And then we're going to bring it back to just one here. And this is not usually checked. So use multi-level structure in order destination field. I like doing that. So I'm going to do that and apply, and I'm going to show you what that means in just a moment, and we'll discuss it. So what that does is it breaks up your multi-level structure here. It's going to break up your order. So let's say I'm placing an order on the SPY. I just right click here, right? So this is in the classic workstation. Some people prefer this in terms of their setup for executing. So I go to trade and I go to order entry, right? So I'm going to have a collapsible menu that's default over here. And you can set a lot of things here. You can set stop limits, go with algos, go with all kinds of different items. Like I said, this is highly customizable. But we're going to go to advanced, and you see what that option did is it broke this down. We can go based on algorithms. You can go on the usual, or if you want to go for direct routing. And direct routing, if you know what you're doing, and it's something, again, take time to dig into, this can ensure that you have laser fast executions, which I find, in my opinion, IBKR Pro has some of the fastest executions I've seen. It's night and day compared to Thinkorswim. If you use Thinkorswim, if you've ever had the time where you enter an order, it doesn't get filled, or you go to fill on a cell and it's just sitting there and then it finally fills, that lag can cost a lot of money, and I don't like that. So with direct, you can set up, or you can go with the algorithms, and it gives you the opportunity. So those are just some of the things that make the quality of life difference. Of course, increasing your RAM size, doing the font size, just to be able to get that visibility, adjusting your order routing, having all these different options, in my opinion, is a game changer. And that's what I'm a big fan of IBKR Pro for. If you're interested, here's what I would suggest. If you're not using IBKR Pro or Interactive Brokers, of course, it's free to set up an account. Highly recommend just taking a look to see if it's right for you. I'm going to leave a link in the description here. Use that link, click on that, and then go take a look and read through. I'm linking you to a specific area. See if it makes sense for you. Click on that link, check it out. Like I said, it's free to set up an account. Sample it. That's what I always tell people. The best evidence is your own evidence, right? There's one thing to hear from other people, even trusted sources, but try it out for yourself. See what you think. Click on that link. It takes you to the area that I want you to be looking at to begin with, and go from there. To those who are using it, I really hope that this was a great help. And of course, click on that link that I provided below if you want to get a little bit more detail, because there's a lot to learn from the IBKR website, and I've linked to that, and I think it's a helpful resource. So hopefully this helped everybody out a little bit, and there will be more in the future. As I said, this is one of the deeper platforms, deeper brokerages that I've seen to date. Thanks, everybody.